Here's some tips and tricks for all the maps released in Season 4. Skyline Stumble. If you get the fans in the low gravity section, just run to the fan on the left, and then once you do, land on the platform on the right side and you won't need to worry about the donuts on the platform. A shortcut here is to jump and at the very last second, dive onto the path. Some tips I can give you is to hug the wall, but be careful not to touch it, otherwise you'll risk hitting it and fall off. Another one is to not jump off the platform too early, otherwise you'll risk hitting the edge and not make it. Also, you can grab the ledge as well, just in case you don't happen to make the dive. If you're on the section with the force fields and can see the striped back of the ring, start making your way to the very front, because the opening is actually behind the wall. While the laser hurdles can seem impossible to pass without it hitting you, here's how to do it. Run underneath the first hurdle, and if it's coming towards you, stop, turn around, and jump over it. As for the second hurdle, just jump over that one as well if you need to do so, or just run underneath it. And then from there, you can run straight to the checkpoint. If you are underneath one hurdle, you might have to jump over the next one and vice versa. Rather than try to run to the center, try running on the sides and jump dive onto the checkpoint, so that way you won't even have to bother with the third hurdle at all. And finally, the flippers. The flippers actually have a 3-second cooldown. I recommend you learn how to use the flippers. With enough practice, you can make it to the top faster than if you use a treadmill. A tip to make it to the very top in one go is right before the first flipper hits you, jump. And since you jumped, it'll launch you straight onto the platform and you can skip the other two flippers. Roll on. The rings alternate from left to right. Rather than try to walk on one side, alternate from left to right by jumping across them. You can even dive onto the small sections of the ring. Make a habit of constantly jumping forwards and jumping side to side while on this map, because if you do, it can greatly help you traverse this map with ease. And as for the hammers, just run along with the hammer rather than against it. And as for the boxing glove, run along the sides of it and you'll be fine. And once you've reached the last ring before the platform or fan, jump to it. And while in midair, keep spamming your jump button, and once you land on it, you should be thrusted forwards with enough momentum to cross the finish line. This technique is called bunny hopping, or bee hopping for short, and it can be used while going downwards on any map in the game that has ramps or downward facing slopes. There's another map where bunny hopping will be incredibly useful, so stick around. Short circuit. Here's a tip for the rotating wall section. All you have to do is go to the first left set of discs and then walk onto the middle path. You don't even have to go through the wall or the discs, you can just walk. And at the end, take the very right set of discs to go to the conveyor belts. The right side will push you forwards, whereas the left side will push you backwards. Alternatively, this way is a bit faster. Just jump dive over the first rotating wall's opening, and then walk onto the middle path and make your way to the last right disc. And as for the gate section, jump onto the top part of the beam and then jump to the other section. This is faster because you've landed on the beam rather than say hang in midair and then slowly descend back down. Hoverboard Heroes. If you position yourself correctly, you can pass the fan every time. Make sure to position yourself to the left side of the board, which is also the same side as the fan, and run towards the fan rather than away. The further you are from the fan, the more likely you are to be blown away from the platform. Even if you do happen to get hit by an object, as long as you're on the left side, the fan shouldn't blow you away from the platform. And once you're in the zone, a shortcut here is to jump on the rainbow arch and walk across it and then leap onto the middle platform. If you do, however, happen to fall off while running on the edge and onto the bridge, just turn back around and jump to the platform. And once you're on the middle platform, you then can jump on the top of the speakers to avoid any potential obstacles near the middle platform. Big shots. If you get the regular 3 cannon variant, just stand in between 2 cannons and you'll be fine. Just move a little if you need to. It's even easier if you get the fruits. You can literally just stand there AFK and it won't even hit you. Now, if you get the 5 cannon variant, this is where it gets a little chaotic. The cannon will fire in a 3-to-2 pattern. So at the start of the game, it'll fire the bottom 3 cannons and then the top 2 and then switch to a 2 cannon to 3 cannon pattern. And it'll keep switching between that. If you're attentive, you should be fine. Stay in the front so that if something does hit you, you won't be flung off the map. And an axe can appear in the middle, just stick to one side and move when you need to really. Slimescraper. Slimescraper. I'll be saying points that I've already made in these 2 Slimescraper videos. However, I'll give you some new tips as well. If you spawn to the very right side of the map, the worst possible place to spawn, you can still be in the front of the pack. Just jump onto the head of the flipper near the bridge. Or jump dive onto the black part of the flipper that's near the bridge. This is great since the right side is terrible to spawn, and this makes it so you have a fighting chance to be at the front. If however you spawn on the left side, which is the best possible place to spawn, jump the corner and then jump onto the flipper. If you don't wish to take that shortcut, you can skip the shortcut entirely and jump on top of the other flipper and traverse the bridges instead. Now, there are two patterns for the bridges. The pattern here is if one of the squares is gone, then the other one on the same side will disappear shortly. So if the bottom left square is gone, take the right side and then keep going straight. Or another pattern is if you're on the right set of bridges, take the left side next, since the right set of bridges could close. You'll know the pattern through experience, and if anything, just wait a couple seconds and see what happens. For the next tip is jump on this purple block and then jump dive onto the bridge, and this will let you skip most of the boxing glove section. And while on the belt, just keep jumping forward and you'll make it past the glove even if you're at the back of it. And towards the very end of the map, jump on the middle flipper and then jump dive off of it for a slight boost. For more tips on Slimescraper, watch the shortcut guide for even more shortcuts and the strategy guide if you struggle with this map at all. Button bashers. Rather than jump on top of the buttons, dive on top of them. It's much faster and the buttons can pop you back up, allowing you to get to the next button faster. If you see your opponent is about to reach the button, just let them take it and reposition yourself for the next one. From the fan button, jump dive onto the bridge and then jump on top of the button adjacent to it. This is also useful if the button is on the tower as well, and make sure you move your camera constantly. This is where having your camera at a high sensitivity can be great. I made a whole guide on this map as well, so you can check that out by clicking on the top right. Basketfall. While it seems unwinnable if you're playing solo and without a proper squad on voice comms, here are some things you can do. When you spawn and don't see a ball in your direct line of sight, just let your ally have it. It's a waste of your time and theirs if you try to go after it, since they'll get to it first. If you see someone with a ball, try pressuring them by grabbing them to make them let go of the ball or stall for time. If however there are too many members of your team trying to grab someone, just move on and focus on scoring goals. If you do see someone trying to grab your teammate, however, you grab the grabber so that your ally can make a quick getaway. Helping your teammate this way can go a very long way and guarantee you your victory almost. And once you get the ball in your possession, just jump dive and then at the very last second, let go of the ball. The ball will go quite the distance and either you or your teammate can pick it up and score a goal that way. A great strategy you can do in this map is to b-hop from the center platform and then onto the ball. Even if you're quite far away, with a greatly timed b-hop, you can make it and have possession of the ball. And since there are slopes on the center and on both sides, this makes it a bunny's paradise. Once again, to b-hop, make your way to a downward slope, and while in midair, spam your jump key. And once you land on the slope, you'll get thrusted forwards. I will say this, don't spend most of the game grabbing one guy. If you see 2 to 3 others on someone, this might be your cue to move on. Power trip. The most often overlooked spots to get points in Power Trip is spawn. Often you can get upwards of 15 to 20 points, and that's just one spawn. And since people don't go to it that much, this can be a great way to get some cheeky points. You can run in between 2 tiles and get both of them rather than one tile. You can run and jump on top of this block. This is useful if you need to get to the top and as a way to avoid grabbers. Often the top part of the map is usually uncontested, especially if it's a Power Trip finale. If the top part of the map is uncontested in your game, go to it. If you get the fan variation rather than low gravity, while up in the air, let go of the cell and it should land on the platforms. Learning to grab people in this map and genuinely be annoying can be so beneficial and can be the deciding factor on whether you win or lose. Thanks for 40 subscribers and subscribe for Season 5 map guides.